Hi, this is Ross Harrison from Precision Health and Fitness, and today this is going to be my first video showing an exercise and sort of demonstrating what my health first approach to fitness looks like in practice. Interestingly enough, this isn't really an exercise that I use all that much, but I decided it was just a good training tool just to give an idea of how little differences in how you approach exercises can actually make a big difference in the outcome of the exercise. So this is going to be a seated adduction, so it's working inner thigh. I'm using just a little squeeze ball. You can use anything. Most people have probably some kind of ball laying around, basketball, soccer ball, whatever. If it's really hard, it can be uncomfortable for your knees, but just anything that works. In worst case scenario, you can even do this putting your hands together. But there's postural issues and other stuff, so I won't talk about that one. But there is a way to do this with pretty much anything or nothing. So in this case, I'm going to start, just put the ball between my knees. And I like to have my feet, well, you can't totally see it, but basically the feet are directly beneath the knees. Just so if your shins are vertical, you're in good shape. And depending on the person, you can play with the foot position, move them in or out a little bit to see, you may get a better feeling from there, but this is a good place to start. So normally, when people do an exercise like this, when you say, the idea is to bring your knees closer together. And the closer together you bring them, the more the muscles are going to work. And typically, what I really like, I think, is to have you try this. Just sit down, get a ball, and try it. Just move your legs together, see what you feel. And ideally take a break. Pause the video, see what it feels like, and then we'll talk about what you felt. So if you've done that, or if not, that's great too. Either way. If you've done that, generally people feel some inner thigh, they may feel some outer thigh, they may feel some knee, they may feel a lot of different things. But the way I teach it, the goal really is to work the inner thigh. And this is a great exercise for teaching how to use certain muscles and relax other ones. But often when I talk to people after they do it, I'll say, well, what did you do? What were you thinking? How are you approaching the exercise? The typical response is, well, I thought, push my knees together. And that it's often that's what they'll say. I thought about this, or they may say bringing my knees closer together or some element. But what often ends up happening is what the person really thinks is push the knees together. Unfortunately, if you just say push the knees together, you do get some inner thigh work, but you're also getting quads are tighter than they need to be. You may get, it's really just pushing. And if you're pushing, like, you may feel more out here, more up here. You may even feel hip if the person's really into it. But the goal is really inner thigh. And the thought that should be going through the head is pull the legs together. And it's one word difference, but it often creates a very big difference in what you feel. So like if I just think push my knees together, I do feel some tightness through here, but I also feel tightness here. I feel some tightness in my shins. And that's the whole. But so some people may say that, well, you're working the inner thigh, you're working a bunch of other stuff too. It doesn't matter because you're working muscles. If your goal is just to work muscles, okay, but that's not my goal. My goal is to train the muscles to work the way they're supposed to. So if I do the same thing, but I think pull or squeeze together and think about relaxing everything else, and I may not get as tight of a squeeze, but I get a much more focused squeeze on the inner thigh, and it actually goes further up the leg, and I don't get tension anywhere nearly as much in other parts of the body. So it really targets what you're trying to work. The other benefit is it teaches your brain gets a better connection with that particular muscle. So if you think, okay, I'm trying to work my adductors or adductors, and your body will know, okay, that means pull these together, work this muscle, and I don't need to tense everything else. But the more things you tense, so if you're doing something, and this applies to pretty much every exercise, and this is sort of the idea behind it, if whenever you think work adductors and you're also tensing a bunch of other muscles, your brain will get that signal. So every time like in life, something happens and those muscles need to work, all the other muscles are going to work too. And in many cases, that's not necessarily a good thing. It may be, but it's nice to be able to, for your body or yourself, to decide that on your own. And by doing things like this and pull the legs together, work those muscles, and not other ones, you're actually training your brain to have a much better control over that muscle in general. And as you continually do the exercise in that fashion, the control will get better and better, and your ability to contract the muscle will continue to get better and better, in absence of other ones. So if something does happen, like in the world, and you need those muscles to work, and you can bring them in the way they're supposed to be used, it usually won't be sitting down in this position, it'll be some kind of moving, probably lateral motion, whatever it may be. If other muscles need to come in and help because it's tough, great, they will know how to do that. But if the situation requires that really you only need those muscles and the other ones are coming in, it's just teaching your body bad habits. And over time, those other muscles will end up working too much. If every time you contract this muscle or a muscle in your leg, if everything's always contracting, they're going to get overworked because things are working when they're not supposed to. So that's a simple motion that sort of gives you an idea of how I approach exercise, how one little change can make a big difference in what your body gets out of it. And it's not going to make a big difference over the course of a week or two, but over the course of years and decades, doing an exercise what I'm going to call the right way will make your body much healthier, and you'll be able to really avoid a lot of aches and pains that develop from imbalances that are the natural cause of always tensing everything when doing exercises. So this is a basic exercise, but gives you a good idea of where I'm going with this, and there will be many more exercises to come. Hope you enjoy. Thanks.